the next one, since we're staying on a more cheerful track, the movie I know Andre has been waiting for quite a bit, and that is Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers, the movie. Finally made its premiere last week. And, you know, it's been all the talk. And, Andre, since this was something you heavily anticipated, I'll let you talk about it first. And
so, like you, I was a kid growing up with the Disney Afternoon, and I remember my mom taking me to see the DuckTales movie, and I enjoyed it. I know it's not great now, but at the time I really liked it, and I was hoping Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers was going to be the next one, but we never got it. The next Disney Afternoon movie that got me was Goofy movie, which also has its fans too, and I did see that in the theaters as well. So this was almost like a long time coming to get a Rescue Rangers movie. And of course, they went meta, they went live action, but this was fun. This was a nice throwback to what I remember as a kid, while also trying to do, you know, a little bit of a twist up and say, well, the Chipmunks, oh, not the Chipmunks, there's a joke there. Chip 'n Dale, they were high school buddies who got together and got picked up as TV stars and became the stars of Rescue Rangers, and it became this big thing. And then Dale decided he wanted to go off and get his own spin-off, and Chip got upset, and then the show got canceled, and then they kind of went off. So Dale's like signing autographs at conventions, and Chip is like selling insurance, and then Monterey Jack, he's in trouble with somebody, and then he disappears. So now the whole movie is them trying to find Monterey Jack, and the villain turns out to be like this deranged version of Disney's Peter Pan, all grown up and paunchy with like a receding hairline, and Will Arnett playing the voice of that. And he's trying to like take all the cartoons and bootleg them and send them off to China, which is kind of clever in its own way. So I mean, like, and then you know, they play up the idea that this is going to be, you know, a love letter to all of animation. So, you know, Chip is in the classic 2D style hand drawing art that you remember from the cartoons, but then Chip supposedly went and got like a CG enhancement done. So that's why he's all CG and Chip is not. And then you get a wide variety of, you know, classic Disney characters, like Roger Rabbit makes a cameo. Scrooge McDuck has a cameo in it. But what shocks me is how many non-licensed Disney characters they were able to get. They got the Transformers, they got He-Man and Skeletor, they got She-Ra. I mean, they got like everybody from the 80s all the way from the 90s, and there's references to Nickelodeon. And, you know, I was like, holy shit, how did they even get away with this stuff? It's like, these guys probably should do a Roger Rabbit sequel, not Robert Zemeckis, because they're getting away with more than they did back in those days with the Looney Tunes and the Disney characters coming together. And I love the nod to the video game as well as to episodes of the cartoon that they kind of injected into the plot. So, yeah, I mean, there were a couple of dry spots near the end, and I was shocked Eric Bana played the voice of Monterey Jack. I thought it was the original voice actor. I was like, that's Eric Bana? Like, holy shit. And maybe the whole thing with Gadget and Zipper was kind of weird. That was the only thing I was like, what? I don't remember that shit when I was growing up. I don't remember any romantic connection there. That clearly was the writers just having their fun. I would have picked a radically different character. And I think it was a disappointment they used the CG Baloo instead of the Baloo from Tailspin. That's another pet peeve that I have. But overall, it was fun. It was a nice throwback. And it made me miss those Disney ice pops as a kid. I would have had one of those watching a movie if they had those today. So I highly recommend Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
I think I liked it actually more than you.
Yeah.
It felt like as soon as I finished it, I would say it felt like Roger Rabbit light. You know, there's no obviously there's no human character for them to. Well,
it's not raunchy.
It's not raunchy, and there's a mystery, but it's not really that hard to figure out. And the standout of the whole movie that had me laughing for 10 minutes straight, Ugly Sonic.
Yes. Another unexpected cameo.
Yes, that just had me dying throughout the movie. I love the movie, even though it's called, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. This is a Lonely Island movie because you have Akiva Schaffer directs it. What's his name? Sorry, not what's his name. Andy Samberg does the voice of Dale, and John Mulaney, who's not part of Lonely Island, but he plays Chip. And it's just like, oh, come on, guys, this is all your sensibilities,
And I like how they explained the change in the voice. That was cool.
But I mean, it was like there was nothing really wrong with the movie. Like you said, some of the jokes do fall a little flat, but for the most part, they stay enjoyable throughout. And there's always a quip or a punchline. I mean, come on, you have DJ Scat Cat
with Abdul. Holy shit!
Exactly, just to show the time period that they were big in. I mean, like you said, the Dennis Haysbert voice for Zipper and their whole little romance, that was the only part of the film where it's like, okay, it kind of takes you out a little bit, like, ew, like, it was just like weird. Though I was wondering how they were going to incorporate Gadget, because one of the things I remember most about the cartoon, I totally forgot about Zipper. That's why as soon as I saw Roger Rabbit in it, I'm like, oh, it knows where it's going. Because I'm like, oh, this is almost like that film. So it's in competition with Spider-Man No Way Home as like one of the highest recommendations of this episode, because like I said, I just really enjoyed it through and through. And I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed the trailer. I thought it would be a fun movie, but I didn't expect it to be this good.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be that good.
So
once also fun. This is just me spitballing. If they had like the animated New Kids on the Block or the animated Hammerman show up,
no, now you're
go all out.
You're like, oh, now you want all your Saturday morning cartoons. I mean, they gave you Darkwing Duck. What else do you want?
Well, he needs a movie too. He's long.
True, as he said in the movie. Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm just glad there were like that many Bonkers references.
There's
like,
only one, and thankfully
exactly.
that was it.
And that's all it needs to be.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no. I kind of wish they would have brought back, even though I know the person who voiced him is dead, the cat villain.
Well, he was there for a few minutes. Remember when they were like overly laughing at the beginning? Like that was the only time we saw him.
Yeah, because I was hoping like he'd play more of a bigger role. Yeah. Like, find out like, oh, off the set, he's this totally different character or something like that. Since, we're revoicing people anyway. Yeah. I'm sure Dom DeLuise's children one of them could try to do his voice. But like I said, overall, I really love this film.